Welcome to Upgrade. My name is William Lam and I'm the creator of Upgrade. I've prepared for you a very special mini training called the SourceCode. Now, as the name implies, it's about how you can program your mind to do specifically what you want it to do. And that includes your thoughts, your focus, your emotions, and your micro behaviors, your macro behaviors, and everything in between. Which means eventually it leads to producing the outcome that you have engineered and designed. Now imagine being able to unlock your mind and really unleash your true potential. You will be able to take your business, your personal life, and even all other areas of your life to the next level. Now, that may seem like a big promise. It's not. Because if you truly understand how much your mind is capable of, even just a small percentage of programming, a small percentage of unlocking, you will find yourself at the next level. Now, let me give you a quick story. Yeah, and actually, before I even tell you the story, let me just say what this training is not. It's not a business training. It's not a funnel training. It's not about how you can create another product to sell somewhere. It's not about raising funding. It's none of those. Of course, those trainings out there are some really good ones, and you can greatly benefit from the good ones. However, no matter how good they are, you will find that they cannot live up to their truest potential until you allow your mind to do so. Until you allow yourself to unlock your mind. Until you learn how to tap into your true potential. These trainings out there will not benefit you as much as they possibly can. So today I'm going to help you not only optimize your mind, but optimize even potentially the things that you have purchased, the trainings that you've been involved in, and the education that you have purchased over the past who knows how many years. I'm going to share with you a quick story. So there was a gentleman that before he became a client of ours, I had a conversation with him. He asked me, William, how do I know you can help me take my business and my mind to the next level? Because I know you don't invest like me. And just to give you a little bit of a background, he's an investor, private equity, very successful, built multiple multi-$100 million businesses. And so he said, how do I know you will be able to help me because I know you don't invest like me? So I said, look, if you ask for investment advice, there is only one. Invest in your mind, because when you unlock your mind, you can do anything's possible, right? Now, if you're after investment advice, I've got none. You've got friends doing 10, 11, 12, 13 digit, and they are better fits for giving you financial investment advice, right? Now, that being said, I said, if you believe that you have the potential to achieve that next level, if you believe that you have that potential to achieve what you have told me that you want, then I can help you unlock your mind to do so. Then I can help you unleash your true potential. And this is why we have created this mini training for you today. So really begin to pay attention and let's dive in. Over the last 5 years, I've spent about $1.7 million learning, developing, experimenting, testing what we will share with you today. Yes, big picture, this is a training on how to leverage the power of your mind. And this training is about scaling without scaling, just changing your mind. As a result of changing your mind, your external reality changes. It's about how to program your mind so precisely that you can get to automating your behaviors that are crucial to your success and your happiness. It's a programming class for the mind. Now, just a quick disclaimer, we do not promise any specific results, including financial returns. You are responsible 100% for your own result. And to gain the most out of this training, we want you to put your phone on silence, do not disturb, and do a little fun, short exercise with us. Here's why. We pick up so much more information when we're in this special state. And we call it the learning state. And this learning state takes only about 10 seconds or so to get into, maybe even shorter. For those of you who are going to practice this more consistently starting today, you will find yourself being able to access that instantaneously when you want to. And it's very useful because if you're in the learning state, you're able to directly download information into your unconscious. So this will help you absorb everything we teach here. and even if you don't take notes. Now, consider this for a moment. A lot of times people say repeat, repeat, repeat. Yeah, it takes repetition to learn something. It's true, especially if you're learning at the conscious level. Now, if you're learning at the deep unconscious level, it is possible for your learning to be instantaneous. So what we want to do is to share with you that power of being able to learn instantaneously in the unconscious, and it's actually rather easy. So we'll share with you that. Now, this state is really simple. All you have to do is actually find a spot. Yeah, and now notice this graphics right here. This picture right here in front of you, a lot of us are on our phones often these days for business or for pleasure or for whatever reason. You are oftentimes in foveal vision. You're actually not activating every part of your brain to the capacity that it really could. And I'm not saying you would in peripheral vision, but it would engage the ability to access the learning state. And let's experience this. Yeah, so find a spot in front of you, and it could be anything. You could imagine a black dot at the top of your wall, yeah, all the way across the room. And you look up at that spot and you stare at that spot, and you stare at it with your full attention. And then notice how your awareness expands all the way to your side and all the way to 180 degrees and beyond. Now, once it reaches 180 degrees, lower your eyes back on the screen while maintaining your peripheral vision. Now, we call this altered state the learning state, yeah, or I like to call it the upgrade state, because in that moment, you can learn a lot more, a lot faster. You can pick up information that may take someone else or yourself, sometimes years, if not decades. You can download them very quickly. Now, let's dig deeper into this training, and as we go on this journey, observe how you really feel inside. Open your mind, yeah, and allow me to show you a new world of possibilities. And I will tell you this, that stare at a spot on the wall technique, you'll see a lot of hypnotists, a lot of hypnotherapists will utilize it to help the client or their student get into a deeper state, yeah, a altered state of sorts. What we're doing here is a little different. We are asking you to get into that state, but also open your peripheral vision so you actually become hyper aware. So let's get going. One thing that you'll find that is very important is that our lives are run by codes. And I'm telling you this because in this source code training, yeah, source code, we're going to actually talk about 5 specific things utilizing essentially some stories, some techniques, and different things. And you're going to learn these 5 very important points. The first one is the codes behind wants versus needs. Because when you create your own world, you create your own life and your reality, it's actually all based on this code behind what you want and what you need. And if you actually are drawn to specific things that are not what you want, and or you're attracting those things into your life, it's not some secret, mysterious thing that's happening. It's actually because your unconscious mind has been trained to give you what you need, not what you want. Essentially, the purpose is imagine being able to create your own Aladdin, your very own Aladdin. That would be amazing, right? The Aladdin's genie being able to come to you and say, hey, what is your wish, right? What would you wish for? And when you are able to grant yourself wishes, right? That would be incredible. So that's essentially what you're able to do when you are able to unlock your mind. Now, there is a lot of things that you have not yet tapped into that you could do, because whatever you think you can do, there's always more. And that I believe you can do more than what you think you are able to. So how much pleasure, right, can you endure, or how much pain can you endure? We want to help you experience how much pain you want to experience, which may be completely none, and how much pleasure you want. A lot of people think that you can only have, pain as you go on your journey of creating success. And some people say, yeah, you have to choose one or the other. But what if you have to choose between pleasure and greater pleasure? because your life's quality is dependent on the choices you give yourself and the questions you ask yourself. So if you ask yourself, do I want pleasure or do I want more pleasure? And those are the only questions you ask yourself, that's the double bind. Your unconscious mind has to pick one. The mind tends to take this path of least resistance. So if you figure out what that is, then you'll know what is likely going to choose. And over time, it will actually go and give you what you want if you are given proper training. And number 3, it's the code behind memories. Now, guys, what is this code behind memories? Forget about goals, guys. I'm not saying actually don't set goals. I'm saying the word goals is actually going to presuppose something that you cannot necessarily achieve 100% of the time, right? Have you ever hit all your goals 100% of the time? Probably not, right? So that actually installs certain beliefs and codes behind the word goal. So whenever you set a goal, in the back of your mind, there's that code about how you may not achieve it. It presupposes linguistically that you may not get what you want when you set a goal. Correct? Yeah? However, now imagine you installing a memory. That would be different, because a memory inside of your mind is something that has already happened. Right? Now you may say, how does that make sense? If something's already happened and I'm installing a memory, am I installing it in the past or future? I'll tell you right now, this memory is installed in the future, yeah, so that we can utilize this memory and the configuration of the memory to reverse engineer everything you need to do. I'll explain more. This makes life that much more predictable. Number 4, the code behind effortless abundance. Yeah, we're going to show you how to master the exchange of energy, of money, yeah, to unleash the flow of wealth and relationships. It's actually really powerful when you can utilize this code to create abundance effortlessly. That's the key, because a lot of people can create abundance, but not everyone can do it effortlessly, right? So we're going to show you and explore together how some codes have been written in your life, in your mind, yeah? And these codes are running, suffering and difficulties and frustrations and anger and sadness and guilt and a number of things into your mind, attaching itself to achievements and success and all those things. So we're going to help you uncover what those codes look like and how you can utilize something else. Yeah. And then really think about the word effortless. The next one is the codes behind automated success. Now, how nice would it be, right? Because so many people are like, let me automate my business. But here we're talking about, let me automate you. So you can get the life you believe you deserve. The fastest way to changing your life is change the code behind what you believe you deserve. But let me just quickly introduce who I am to you, so you know I actually can and have the credentials to teach you. But really, I'm actually just a regular guy. I just happen to have gotten really good at programming. We help people change their mental emotional states when they want to. I actually got invited on to become an executive producer of a virtual reality company called Jump. It's amazing, and we can talk about that later. Essentially, where we are going to push boundaries on how to help someone change what's going on in their mind, regardless of what's going on outside in virtual reality. I'm also an American board certified NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, yeah, instructor and trainer, and also an American board of hypnotherapy certified hypnosis instructor. Now, there's a quote actually by me down here, and it's really a combination of the things I've learned, and I'm going to say it to you. It's profound evolution of the mind begins when you realize that the outcome is within the choices you give yourself. What if you can only choose between great success or even greater success? Now, some of you may not know computer programming, some of you may, but imagine if you give yourself an if-then statement and the only result, the only outcome in that if-then statement is what you have programmed, then of course naturally the result is going to be what you have programmed. Most people live a life that is either pre-programmed by other people, their families, their ancestors, their surrounding, their media, their entertainment, not themselves. So they're not actually in charge of their life. They may feel like they are doing well, but there are things that they're not happy with, right? So you've met those people. Maybe you've been one of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with some stories of success to explain to you, the journey, my journey, and how you can utilize this to go on your own journey. Now, I heard from a friend today or yesterday something really profound. My friend said, oftentimes you have people wanting the experience the journey of achievement, meaning that you've achieved so much and you really enjoy this journey of having achieved so much and experience the outcome, the fruits of your labor, right? But the people that want that sometimes and oftentimes forget, which of course you guys are going to remember, that there is a journey of transformation before that journey of achievement. Brilliantly said by my friend. And it was quite profound, and I thought about it. I'm like, well, yeah, a lot of people want the results. And they even go and spend money on funnels, they'll spend money on business tools, they'll go raise funding, they'll go hire a bunch of people. They may even spend more money on business trainings. However, most of them, and I'm saying very carefully, most of them, many of them, do not actually invest in their mind, just on their mind, and give themselves tools to be able to ask those questions and set those if-then statements so that they can do things more effortlessly. If you go and ask a millionaire or a multimillionaire or even a billionaire, sometimes they may not know how to tell you how they created what they've created. Some will say, I worked really hard. Some will say, you got to have this mindset, that mindset. I'll tell you, everyone's different, of course. And there are certain things that, of course, works better and some things that may not work as well. But most of those very successful people have tested a bunch of those to see what works and what doesn't, right? So if you go back to 2 or 3 slides ago, I spent $1.7 million to learn what I'm about to share with you today because I didn't want to spend decades, who knows, maybe my whole life, learning how to not make the same mistakes twice or learning from whatever, right? My own trial and error. Instead, I was like, you know what? I'm going to spend the money, invest the money into myself, into my mind, so I can learn the lessons about the mind well in advance before many of the most successful people. You'll know a lot of very successful people learn what we're about to share with you here. And we're going to take you on a deep dive. There are some very cool and surprisingly easy ways to implement them, and we'll cover that. And then at the end, if you stay till the end, we're actually going to reveal a formula that we have been testing and utilizing with our resources as well as with the success of our clients. We have constructed a formula that we're going to show you. Stories of success. So stories of success. Let's actually start with my story, I think you ought to know a little bit about me. This is me and my wife. Actually, we were celebrating our anniversary in New York. But I didn't start here, right? I didn't start at this, nice place, and I was actually in a very different place, but I'll get into that. The first principle today that I wanted to share with you is wants versus needs. And actually, I need to tell you something. In 2015, I went to my very first mental programming training, and it was incredible. It was fantastically done. I learned a ton, and one of the cool things I learned, in fact completely changed my life, was they asked me, what's the one thing that when you achieve it will make this training the single most valuable experience ever? And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I were to be able to find the one, my true love, then that would be incredible. They're like, is that what you want? I at first really wanted to say make more money and blah blah blah, and there's a million things that I wanted and or needed, and but I was like, I want to find the one. They said, great, design her and then go on and take massive action and utilize the training and you'll find her. I'm like, that's it? Like I've dated for years and didn't even feel like I even got close. So how did you just promise me that? They said, it's not a promise, but we're confident. And I could see, I've never seen someone so confident, right? And I was just like, wow, okay, there's something to this. I gotta pay attention. So I went home, I designed what I wanted. I designed also myself a matching version of that, right? Because it's not fair if I just design her and expect her to show up. I design myself and expect myself to show up a certain way that would be attractive to the other person. Long story short, March of that year was when I took that training, 2015, And my goal was August 31st, I would have found the one. Yeah. And August 31st was the date. So just 5 months later. I thought I was kind of crazy because I was like, man, 5 months. And I started actually to panic. There was a time I was like, oh man, can I actually do that in 5 months? Long story short, I was actually engaged August 19th, 2015. And that was pretty nuts. I was really, I couldn't believe it. It was really magical. I found the one and I knew it. I just knew it, right? You know that feeling when you find something you absolutely like, or someone, right? In this case, someone that you absolutely just know it's the one, right? It's that feeling. So I got married, obviously. What was interesting was I was also extremely broke. I had no money, right? Relationship and finding the one was my sole and entire purpose that year. And in fact, going to the following year, it was so nice. My mother-in-law was so kind to have loaned us her vehicle, so my wife and I had a car. Because I also sold a card of mine to go take more trainings. Sold couches, I sold my alarm clock, I sold my laptop, I sold a bunch of stuff to go to trainings. And so my mother-in-law was kind enough to, let us utilize this vehicle. And I still remember wondering if I could actually pay the insurance. Because at that time I was like, oh man, if I could just make an extra $500 a month, that would be incredible, right? But that leads me to, wait a second. My thought, I was like, wait a second. If I could design my wife and design a certain version of me that matches that, and she would show up, what if I design what I want? Everything I want, including the business clients that I want, including the students, including the business partnerships, including, the cars, the houses, the dream life, everything. What if I could design that? And what if I could design how many people I can help, how many people I can elevate and assist them in their transformation? I design all that. Yeah. And I realized I needed to allow myself to have what I want. Because my whole life I spent wondering if I deserve what I wanted, right? And that's another topic. We'll talk about it at the end on one of the last points. So anyway, let me show you something else. In a lot of people's lives, they are going for what they need, what they settle for, or just the basics. And you'll notice I've actually outlined this a little bit here, very big picture. What you're seeing here is that there are people that are living a really hard life, maybe experiencing not the best relationship on the far left, and there's people that they're literally suffering because they are allowing themselves to just stay at the basic level. And I'll explain more. I'm going to explain with a metaphor in a moment. And there are people that are settling for just okay. They'll get by and they're living that life of should have, could have. And there's also a lot of people that are living in the you don't need that life, right? So they're like they only get what they need. And they live in a life that's good enough. It's comfortable, that's not where you could be though. So at that time I was like, I'm going all in because I was selling everything to learn more about my mind. And because I thought, if I learn from one training, I found the one, what else can I learn? What else have I not learned, right? I need to go and learn more and take more trainings. And I'm that guy who, instead of the School of Hard Knocks, which I've gone and experienced some of that, a lot of that actually, and I realized that is actually a much slower path. And yes, there will be stories of, some may say blood, sweat, and tears. At the same time, I would rather go into a simulated control environment of trainings and learn things from other people's mistakes, learn things from other people's School of Hard Knocks, and learn things from decades and decades, if not hundreds, if not thousands of years of wisdom, all compacted into a step-by-step system that I can learn and take home and utilize immediately. So I want what I wanted, and I went all in. And now, the total abundance mindset is what that is. I'll give you give you a quick example. So back to this, right? I have this agenda I wanted to share with you in this point number one. There is a friend of mine and also was a client of mine who was, at the time he was wanting to purchase a Tesla. And this is not 2015. I'm telling you a story from a later year. And he wanted a Tesla. He called me. He's like, hey, William, I want a Tesla. But, people are saying this. I'm not so sure. Some people aren't super supportive. What do I do? And I said, hey, what do you need? He said, well, I just need my current car, which is fine. It's not a Tesla, but I absolutely love and want the Tesla. What should I do? I said, well, here's the thing. What will you settle for? Would you bike to work instead of your car or Tesla? He's like, no. I said, okay, I gotcha. So I now know where you'll settle, right? I said, look, if I was an average friend, I may say, guess what? Just get what you need, which is your current car. You're good. You don't need more, right? You don't need what you want. Of course, nobody needs what they want. But I said, if you say what you want and you know what you want, but you go for what you need, what's going to happen is over time, you train your mind, right? You train your mind to not give you what you say you want, but give you what you need. You know what you want, but you go for what you need. You see how that will train your mind over time? And he said, yeah, oh my gosh, I got to go buy it. Right? I got to go get what I want. And the craziest, coolest things happen. I'll show you in a few slides. And that feeling though, right? The settling when you go to a restaurant. Yeah, I'm putting it right here to remind myself to tell you this. I've done this many times. I go and get a meal and I'm like, oh, that meal is $2 more, but it has everything I want. Wait a second, but I don't need that. How often do you play that game with yourself, right? And over time, if you train your mind to not get what you want and only get what you need, what you'll find is your mind simply will want to preserve energy. When you set a big goal, let's say you want to make $100,000 in a month, your mind knows you only need, 10,000, 20,000 maybe, and whatever that number is, it will not give you that 100K if you've trained it sufficiently enough to give you just what you need, yeah, which is down here. So you wonder why you work so hard and still get limited by this, but not this, and you'll do a lot of work even, you'll work super hard and you'll get close, but it's not there because your mind knows, and your unconscious mind knows. Yeah, when you ask them what they want, if they have gone long enough just going for what they need, they'll say, I don't know. So same thing with you. If you don't know what you want, it's time to start figuring that out. And I would ask you the question, if you were to say, I don't know, then I would say, if you were to know what you want, what would that be? What would they be, right? And I would have a list of a lot of things that you want and a lot of experiences you want or any and all things that you want. Write them all down, yeah? Of course, they have to be ecological things because you want to train your mind to give you things that are win-win because they are easy to perpetuate and they're easy to sustain and it's ecological. Next, you got to focus on them, right? If you design a list that's totally awesome, totally amazing, but you focus on what if things don't work out, you're never going to get that list, right? I'll tell you a quick secret though. Symbolically, when you write things down on a piece of paper, what's cool about that is that your mind begins to perceive that as, oh, I have millions of thoughts, right? What is the difference between this thing that I wrote down versus the thoughts in my mind? Well, it's that I actually brought it into the physical. So you're serious enough to write it down, your mind's going to take you a little bit more seriously, if not a lot more seriously, and think that, oh my gosh, you have symbolically brought this, literally symbolically by language, brought this thought and concept into the physical plane represented by the paper. Yeah? And so what now? Your mind's like, this is what I actually will create for you into the physical then. So notice there's a big difference between people that have goals and those who actually write them down. And there are stories and stories and stories about how people actually write down their goals and have an easier time achieving them. This is one of the reasons. When you symbolically communicate with your unconscious, hey, I want to bring this into the physical. And then it shows up in the physical. Now, that's just one quick little tip and secret that's really cool that I've learned over the years. Fast forward, yeah, I found the one, drove it. Actually, 2016 now, I drove this car for a while. Now, you may say, hey, it doesn't matter what you drive. It does, in a sense that it affects how you perceive yourself. Maybe it doesn't for you, but I will guarantee that if you jump in a Ferrari today and you actually drive it, you'll feel different about yourself. People will look at you differently. We can't help it. It's a primal instinct that we're going to feel different. People are going to look at you differently. And it's not about, being materialistic, because what's wrong with being, having material things, right? And money? Nothing. It's how you use them. These are tools, and you can actually use these tools to create abundance for yourself and those around you. So allow yourself to want what you want, yeah? So fast forward to number 2, pain and pleasure and pain, yeah, versus pain. I actually need to share with you the story of my father. When I was growing up, my father would tell me, if you don't experience pain, if you don't work really hard and sacrifice, there is no success ahead of you. Now, here's the problem with that programming is that there's that if then statement, and there's the if statement of if you don't work really hard, if you don't sacrifice, if you, and then this would happen, right? Then you won't have success. And look at this formula here. It's like a double negation. It's not a good formula. And I've heard other versions from my teachers, society, my friends' parents. They'll say you need to sacrifice now and enjoy the rewards later. Yeah. Now, is that any better? Not really, right? Because they say, hey, if you don't sacrifice now, you don't enjoy the rewards later, or you won't get rewards later. Here's what happens. When you put an if-then statement, it's no different than in computer programming. That's what precisely will be executed by your computer, your mind. It will literally go ahead and create, the conditions. And I was talking to a fitness coach the other day, really, really great guy, and he told me the story. He said, my clients are funny. My clients who unconsciously would place these different complexities around hitting their goal. They're like, oh no, it has to be hard to get to this goal. It has to be hard to lose weight. It has to be hard to lose fat, yeah? It has to be hard to gain muscle. It has to be hard to sleep. And they would place these limitations, these if-then statements. And then they would have to go through that if statement to get to then. That's not a good way to create success. Placing obstacles in your path. Yeah, that's no good. And so my father had placed a lot of pain in his life, made his work life and career life and family life very difficult for himself. And what I learned was I don't want that. What I want instead is an easy and effortless life that allows me to create massive success. Yeah. So I'll tell you how we can do that, because in fact, what you place in these if-then statements dictates what you'll experience along your path, along your way to the final success, right? Or the next level success. And by the way, my wife just gave birth to our baby girl. And what was really cool was last time, same thing in her birth of our son, she utilized hypnobirthing. She utilized hypnosis to give birth, to aid her in her birthing process. And it was really cool because it became very effortless. And here's why. She was able to relax the muscles, the ligaments, the joints, the tendons, whatever she needed to relax down there to be able to open up enough that the baby can just come out effortlessly. Now, you may say, what does that have anything to do with success? I'll tell you right now that too many people think that in order to achieve great success in life, whether it's in business or in relationship or family life, it's about grinding harder, hustle more. I'm going to tell you right now, that is actually not how the mind works. If you want your full access to your unconscious, if you want to access your mind more and have its help, you will want to relax into it. If you grind more, hustle more, sleep less, work harder, you're actually leveraging your physical and your willpower, your physical energy, and your conscious mind to create and achieve your goal. And you're not utilizing the unconscious as much as it's available for. So you're literally doing an 80-20 thing, right? And I'll explain more of that later in a bit. And of course, if then codes, and there's the this means codes. By the way, have you ever heard someone, and after they met someone, maybe they say so and so doesn't like me because and that means I am not likable, right? Maybe they don't say that straight up. Maybe it's a child coming home from school. They say, hey, look at me this way. This means that I'm weird. This means that they don't like me. Yeah. And people have all kinds of stuff like that. Now, that may seem like it's a silly example, but what about business? Yeah. Maybe you didn't succeed in your business venture last time, and because you didn't succeed in your business venture last time, you say to yourself, this means that I'm not good enough of an entrepreneur. I'm not going to succeed. Have you ever said anything like that to yourself? Maybe you failed in a relationship and you're like, maybe I'm not good enough. Yeah. And that means I'm not going to have a successful relationship next. These are all terrible programmings. Remember this. Words don't describe your reality. Words define your reality. Words are programming language, yeah? They have an effect moment to moment, and whatever you say to yourself has an effect, yeah? Especially what you say to yourself habitually, what you think to yourself habitually. Those all have an impact. And as a man thinketh, right? So is he in his heart. So the big difference between programming and studying, though, I need to bring up is that when you think about just studying, because a lot of you probably study about mindset. And by the way, this is not a mindset training. This is programming training, right? Because mindset training would probably be an understatement in what we're about to share with you in the next little bit. The big difference between just studying, because you can go study on YouTube, you can go study books, you can go study a bunch of stuff. There's a huge difference between that and programming. Yeah. It's like in learning how to program a computer versus just watching a few YouTube videos, right? It takes a bit more work than that, and it oftentimes takes the right teacher. It takes the right practices. Practices is key, and when you practice, you need to have feedback that actually tells you if what you did works. Now, with computer programming, you can tell pretty quickly. In real life, it's about, depending on the area of your life, right? If it's relationship, maybe it's about finding the one. Maybe it's about keeping the relationship or saving the relationship. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But for for career and for money and wealth, maybe it's the bank account, the money, and the success that you create. That's the feedback, right? And when it comes to programming the mind, because that's what precedes all of those successes, you can count on us giving you those feedback. And programming goes way deeper. I'll tell you a bit more. 2017, I only made $7,000 on average per month. I ran a small teeny training in my basement apartment. I was living in a place that only cost $650 a month. Teeny place, And we started with 4 students. Now, before the students, I did actually see some private clients one-on-one, and we got enough interest. We host a class, a small little class, nonetheless a class. And also, we took our friend who was highly trained, super intelligent individual, an investor himself, who has a degree in psychology, a PhD, really brilliant guy. He actually did some of our training. And he was the gentleman who called me about Tesla. And I was like, hey, you got to give yourself what you want. If you say what you want, you got to train yourself to get what you want. And that month, actually, he achieved $100,000. And that was a really great experience for him. I'm not going to tell you where he started at, but he was not at $100,000, and he was ecstatic when he got there. I did a lot more training that year. Actually, I went back to do training. Actually, I went to a place where it was quite remote. We actually had to fly in a helicopter to go take this training, and we love doing more trainings to continue to learn more, right? Because as we ask people and invite people to do trainings, we are leading by example to learn more continuously, because we know there's always more to know. And the more we know, the more we know that we don't know. Now, let's talk about codes for a moment. There are a lot of codes that are hidden in plain sight. Yeah, if you know where to look, right? If you don't know where to look, well, they're not even, like, you don't even know they're hidden, right? Why am I telling you this? These codes, when it comes to how you program your mind, whether you have pain or pleasure, it's very important to understand this. So let's spend a moment on this topic. When you consider your goal, yeah, let me ask you this. What's the one thing that when you achieve it will make your life simply 100,000 times better? Maybe you already have a goal in your mind, right? Maybe you already have been thinking about it or wanting this goal to be actualized for a number of years, but you haven't yet achieved it. So let's pick that goal, yeah, whatever the goal is. And what's the last thing that has to happen so you know you actually did not achieve that goal? Like, you're not going to achieve it. It's a fail. You already failed it. You're not going to hit it. It's just a complete and utter failure. Yeah. What if I ask you, do you have a picture when you think about that? You probably would say yes. Yeah. Where is that picture? Can you identify where that picture is? Yeah. It may be at a certain location, right? Maybe it's maybe it's right in front of you. Where would it be? Maybe it's down there somewhere. Maybe it's farther away. Yeah. Is there any sound? Yeah. Do you see any details to the picture? Hear any details? Do you have any feelings? Probably not a pleasant feeling, right? Complete and utter failure, right? Now, let's completely wipe that clean. Get out of that picture. Wipe that clean. And then, let me have you replace it. Let me ask you, what's the last thing that has to happen so you know you've gotten it? So you know you have achieved what you want. What's the last thing? Yeah? Do you have a picture? You probably do. Yeah? And you probably hear sound, maybe there's a feeling. It's probably big and bright, right? Vivid and colorful and full of detail. It's at a certain location. Please help me identify where that is. Help yourself, right? Now, notice there's a difference in location or size or color between this picture and the previous picture. These are codes. These are location codes, visual codes, and auditory codes, and kinesthetic codes. We can actually modify these codes so that we can change whether that event will actualize or not. Because your mind is like a holographic storage system. And maybe over here you're storing, the sun is going to come up. Because you know that's true, it's going to happen. Over here, it's you making that $1 million in a year or in a month, right? And you're like, that's not true, and that's true, right? And you're like, wait, how do I make this true? It's you simply move this over here, right? I hope you can see my hand at least a little bit, right? Let's say over here is where the sun is, that it's going to come up. The thought and the belief of the sun is going to rise tomorrow. It's a true thing, right? And you're making $1 million. It's not a true thing yet. Or maybe it's 100 million, depending on who you are, right? Now, imagine being able to move this over here all of a sudden and change the quality, the codes behind it, right? And put it over here. What would happen? What's going to happen is your mind would begin to perceive that differently. The codes would be different. And you would actually begin to feel a calm confidence, a sense of confidence as if you're looking at, hey, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. Do you get any anxiety or stress about it? No, you don't. You're like, yeah, of course this is going to come. Total and complete confidence. Now imagine having that kind of total and complete confidence about you making and achieving your goal, right? That would be awesome. So begin to test and play with this. And of course, in our full-blown training, we teach you in detail how you can do this. And every single step, every single quality, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, we would teach you how to leverage that in our own unique ways that will be very effective for you. So next, let's talk about memories. Memories is an important thing, right? What if instead of setting goals, we install memories? But before we even do anything like that, because think about this for a moment. when you set goals, probably have, you've probably not achieved some goals in your life. And because of that, the codes behind goal, the word goal, there's presuppositions of potential failure. There's also, implication of, you've worked really hard and it was disappointing because you didn't hit it in the past. And yeah, there are times that you hit your goals. That's great. And maybe there are many times that you hit your goals, but there are other areas of your life that you didn't hit your goals. So it's a mixed bag of emotions. But when it comes to memories, it's different. The certainty factor of a memory is that it's already happened. So if you install a memory instead of a goal, what would happen? Your mind's going to think it's absolutely inevitable. And what's cool about that is it satisfies your mind and its need and want to know certainty, right? To know that it's safe. And it actually gets rid of doubt, insecurity, and anxiety all on its own, which is automated. And it's beautiful. Imagine being able to automatically let go of stress, anxiety, as well as any of those self-doubt, right? You would have massive confidence and achieve what you want, right? So memories is going to be the keys to helping you achieving this and being able to know the codes behind memories and learning how to use it. So one of the great stories was a story of my mother teaching me about money. And it's actually not a good memory, but it's a funny memory. It is a good memory now that I've learned from it, but back then it wasn't. Yeah, I'll explain. So 5 years old, my mother actually, my father and mother bought a brand new TV. It's one of those like 21 inch, it's like thicker than it's wide. And I thought it was amazing because it was huge, right? I'm like, oh yes, we got the biggest TV in the neighborhood type of thing. And I was like, Mom, can I tell my friends, invite them over for TV? Like, is that okay? She's like, don't you dare telling people that, yeah? I'm like, why? I'm like, we're wealthy. Why don't we want to tell people? She's like, that's the thing. You don't want to tell people that we're wealthy because when you tell people we're wealthy, they'll want to take it away from you. Now, my mother jokes around now because she doesn't actually believe that anymore. But back then, she did. Back then, she did. And I took that belief as a 5-year-old to heart. Now, how many of those beliefs you've taken from your parents or your teachers, your surrounding, that did not benefit you, but you've completely forgotten? And it's actually a memory that's deep in your unconscious, but you have no idea where to fish that out, right? I didn't know that memory even existed until my wife asked me, when did you decide to spend all the money that you make before you even make more money? I was like, I don't, and I was about to say I don't know, right? But it hit me, the memory surfaced, and I was like, whoa, it was when I was 5 and my mother told me, if you're wealthy, people take your money away. That's no good, that's a terrible belief. She's like, yeah, that is terrible, you should get rid of that. So I got rid of it. And what was cool was, since that moment, I was actually able to accumulate money, and you'll see in my slides how we actually went from negative 10K to what? This year, I was doing about 7K a month, right? So that was a huge improvement. And then, you'll see. Yeah, I taught a bunch of seminars that year. And 2018, I was doing about $27,000 a month on average. Yeah, there were some months that we did $70,000 or $80,000, and that was awesome. I had a great time. But on average, it was 27K. So we did about 300 something that year. So it's not evenly distributed because some months I learned a lot. Like this month, yeah, what you're seeing here in front of you, the month I bought the Porsche. Now, that month I had, it was actually right after I bought it, and I learned something very unique. It was, as I bought it, it was on my list of wants. And I show myself that I can have what I want, right? I did a lot of things to convince my mind that I can have what I want, so that it will continue to give me what I want, right? When I say what I want, it will give me what I want. And I show it that I am serious about getting what I want. So I went and bought this Porsche. And what was cool was that very month, actually, I made about $80-something thousand. And that was the most that I had made up until that point, which really isn't that much looking back now. But back then it was a ton. Right? And I gained some really cool skills along the way. As I continued to take more trainings, I realized I can actually remove past failures, in my memory. Now, it's not that I actually forget about them, but it's that I actually let go of the emotional trauma and the emotional baggage from those past so-called failures. The reason that we hold those failures in our minds is because we haven't yet learned from them. And so our mind holds them in place to teach us that, hey, there's something you haven't learned yet. So that's why there's still an emotional impact there. And then I also learned how to design my future, right? Which is an extremely powerful set of skills. We're not going to teach you here, unfortunately. That's going to take some time. And that full set of training on being able to remove past failure and install future, the design of your future is like a 2-day training that you would have to get into our full-blown training to learn. But I want you to know that's actually something that we can do. And I'll teach you one trick though. Whenever you have a negative memory pop up, I want you to ask yourself, what have I not considered that I can learn, and the learning of which will allow me to let go of the pain in this memory? Now, that was a math formula in a sense, done linguistically. What have I not yet learned, or not yet considered, the learning of which will allow me to let go of the pain, right, within this memory? And what's cool is, remember the previous topic, we said there is pain and pleasure. If you can remove pain from a specific thing like money, then you will naturally find yourself feeling more pleasure and unconsciously driven to achieve that money, make more money, unconsciously and automatically. That'd be nice, right? And then you'll achieve some great level of true self-awareness. And I'll explain what that means. There's a technique in the full-blown training we'll teach you. It's called forget and replace. And we have a number of examples. There's one example of a wonderful lady who came to our training. She told me her number one goal was to become, well, financially, and her number one goal was to become number one. And at the same time, I was like, yeah, that's awesome. What's number one? She said, the number one real estate agent, she said, at the time, the number one agent was already doing $11 million in sales, and that was end of August. And she said, I'm not even close. I don't know how I'm going to beat him. And what's cool was she came to the training and in beginning of September, and then I got this text December of that year, December 12th, 2018, and she was number one. Yeah, and there were a lot of NLP stuff, hypnosis stuff, and upgrade stuff that we taught. And she was so excited that she became number one. She beat the guy by about $9 million and or $8 million about, yeah. And so not only did she surpass number one, beat the 11 million number, she got to about 18 million something. And so she upped her income. And what's cool was, I was just telling you this. What's cool was she was actually skipping her incentive trip to come back to more training, because she was like, if I can do that, with one training with you, what else can I do, right? Now, topic four, as we dive into 2019, I was experiencing some massive rocket ship growth. I had invested all my money into trainings. 19, I doubled my money again, and I'm going to share with you some cool stories about effortless abundance, because I began to realize I was working a lot. And how do I create a situation where I can work less by leveraging the power of my mind? And check this out, it's still a one-man show this time, right? In fact, it's still a one-man show all the way to this year, and we have brought on a number of teams to help us scale, and that's why you're hearing this mini training. In the past, it was just in person, like this. Like, I would just meet with people at my house and teach them some things, or teach a training. I bought this house actually in the basement. I was building a training room. So I was doing it the old school, one person, I was teaching people, and it was all referrals. But I knew over the years, having learned what I learned and invested the money I've invested, and the nice things I've heard from our clients, I'm like, I can't keep this to a small group. I gotta give more people access to this. So I built this thing to be online now, right? Which you're able to now see what we have what we are offering people. So real quick, a story or a couple of stories that I want to share with you. Now, there's a code behind effortless abundance, and this code is actually quite simple. This code is about being able to create abundance automatically without stress, without anxiety. What I'm saying is, oftentimes people will go buy business tools, business trainings, and hire more people before they've actually gotten their minds in the right place where they can maximize and totally leverage what they are purchasing, right? So they buy business tools, but they're not leveraging their mind. So their business tools are not living up to their truest potential, and they blame the people who they buy the tools from. They're like, oh, it doesn't work. It's not necessarily that. Yeah, I'm not saying that every training out there is good. It's not absolutely not the case, right? But there are some good trainings that people will still say, oh no, it doesn't work for me. It's not. It's your mind didn't work for you. Yeah. So let's get going. So there was a story about me actually going to enroll in a gym. And it was interesting because at the time I was not aware fully yet how important it is to commit with speed, to truly jump into what I want with speed, right? Because I've shown you we gotta have what we want, right? Identifying the wants and needs, and then you gotta remove the pain and install pleasure to create natural motivation, right? And then what's cool is you can insert that as a memory so that your mind perceives it as absolutely inevitable, right? Notice what we've done so far. Then imagine being able to code effortless abundance into it. Now, how do you do that effortlessly? See, people are impatient sometimes and they want things now. So what's interesting about that is that if you were to be able to create with speed, you would train your mind to produce with speed. Give you a story. So I was at the gym wanting to sign up, and I was like, how much is it? She said it's $400 a month. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. It was a really great gym, and I was like, should I do it? Should I not do it? And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to hesitate. I know that I attract clients that are like myself. So if I am going to be a self-closer who closes myself with speed, I'm going to attract clients that are going to close themselves with speed, right? I teach this to our students, right? If they do certain things, if they find themselves deciding things, it doesn't have to be purchasing, it could be anything, right? You could be at a spa, you could be at a trip and you're deciding what to do, you're taking forever. What's interesting is you'll notice that same pattern shows up in their clients or in their life, right? So because that's perception is projection. That's the principle where your life is a mirror showing you what's going on inside. So that being said, I was like, I want to take advantage of me being able to project the speed and abundance. So I immediately changed my attitude. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be grateful about this. I'm going to be excited. In fact, I'm going to pay right now because I know I want this, right? Why wait? I want this. I'm not going to want it less or more tomorrow. I want it. Pull out my card. And I was like, hey, I'm ready to purchase. Now, what was cool was that lady, as she took my card over, right, as a sign that she's about to run it, I got a phone call. Someone called me and said, hey, William, is it okay if I pay you $400 a month to pay off the rest of my balance? I was like, what? And I was signing a 12-month contract, and the individual was giving me 12 months of $400. Now, that is a very interesting coincidence, if you were to call it a coincidence, right? It's not a coincidence in my mind, because I've experienced that a number of times. I had a client that, actually I didn't put the slides up, but literally just a few minutes after I paid the bill, and I'm known as the guy who pays them early, and they're always so happy about that, right? And they told me I'm the only person who actually paid them on time in 2020, which I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, right? That being said, I take pride in doing so because I like to exchange energy with speed. So 5 minutes or less later, I got another notification on my phone. It was someone actually paying us $10,000. So $3,000 out, $10,000 in, just like that. And it's not a one-time thing. I've experienced that so many times, And if you get into our Facebook group, you'll see how there are a lot of stories like unto it from me and or from our students. So now, why is this an important story? It all started when I actually learned that every exchange of energy is actually an indicator of how you would treat energy going out, but also in. So think of it like this. When you pay your water bill, when was the last time you were grateful and excited and pay it with speed? Maybe never, right? What about your electric bill? Maybe it's on auto draft, right? Whatever. Now, oftentimes the problem is people don't treat those bills seriously with gratitude and respect, right? But what I'm encouraging you to do is, if you are going to pay your water bill, pay with gratitude. Otherwise, it's wasted energy. There's the difference between spending and investing, right? You're investing into your own comfort and convenience, right? When you take that standpoint, that viewpoint, you begin to also think, wow, I'm grateful for the people who invested billions of dollars to creating these infrastructures that allow me to effortlessly have access to clean water and wonderful, heat and warmth or cooling or whatever I need, right? If you take that gratitude, that energy going out, it will flow like a river and it will enlarge the riverbank and more money will come back to you. Another analogy I must share that I think will really help you, because in order to create effortless abundance, you've got to have a great relationship with the concept of money in your mind, with money in general, right? Your code in your mind, the coding, the computer program behind the word money needs to be purified. It needs to have clean, good, positive energy, not some, love-hate relationship. You can't have that. Yeah, very important. So one thing I recommend is every time you go out, you practice paying your waiters or your waitress or tipping people with gratitude and excitement. Every time you go out and do things, treat things with abundance. Yeah, and this is a very important mindset. And what I wanted to share with you is, think of money like it's an alchemical energy. It can transform what you want from your mind into the physical. So if you treat it with respect and abundance and happiness, you're going to create your life in a more abundant manner. We spent quite a bit more time explaining how to codify money and how you can install more of that in your mind. So we'll explain later. There's a lot more to cover, so let's keep going. We're going to show you motivation, decision, and reassurance. That's actually something we teach in the training. I won't actually go over that here. Programming language of the mind, speed and energy of exchange. That's what we covered. Programming language of the mind, we don't have time here. Integrity of your character, that is important. Be a good person. The unconscious mind takes everything personal. So if you treat money going out to someone else in a greedy, unhappy, ungrateful, disrespectful way, the unconscious mind takes that personally. And it actually decreases abundance, and the flow is actually decreased. You don't want that. 2019 was awesome. I averaged about 52K a month. It was great. And actually, even better, I experienced my first $100,000 in 10 business days. It was a paradigm shift, right? I had never made that sort of money in my life. I'm a programmer for the mind. I didn't really get into it necessarily to learn how to make more money, but I, at that point, began to realize how quickly one can utilize these skills to create what you want, because that was a programmed behavior, and the outcome was programmed as well. And it was extremely, extremely fun to experience what created this whole event. And I'll tell you the full story another time. But speed is key. If you pay your bills with speed, I'm also whenever I get sent a bill, when it's right to do so, I will pay immediately as quickly as possible. And that speed comes back in favor, in my favor. I would get, the special treatments in a sense, right? Because nobody ever pays them that quickly. And or I would get more back. People would over deliver, and in fact, I would get more money back too from other places. Energy likes to flow towards those who have more energy and who are willing to move it with speed. Yeah. Speed is your friend, guys. Let that sink in. Really take on the personality, the self-identity of speed. Yeah. Because when you become fast, yeah, when you become really identified with speed, you'll find that what you want in life happens with speed. Once again, your external world is a mirror of your internal world. It's a projection of your internal world. So if you really want speed to occur for you in your life, in your favor, you must do things with speed. The same year, we traveled to more trainings, and we learned some pretty wild things. Really cool, really wild things. Now let's talk about the most important topic of all of the topics so far is the topic of what do I deserve? What do I believe I deserve? Now, this is a interesting subject, sensitive sometimes, because when you really begin to understand what you deserve, when you really begin to allow yourself to accept that you deserve what you want, yeah? And it's not so much what you really deserve, but what you believe you deserve. Big difference, yeah? Because whatever you believe you deserve, in my opinion, you deserve more. However, you may not believe that, right? And the key here is your unconscious mind will operate based on what you believe you deserve. That's why people hit something we call the financial thermostat, right? Or people that out there call that that thermostat effect is actually when someone hits what they believe they deserve, and they will dip back down, and they'll keep hitting that, and they'll come back down. And sometimes that thermostat, that whatever this is called, right, the boundary of what they believe they deserve is for example, a certain percentage over what their parents were making when they were growing up. Or it's over a certain percentage, or maybe it's the same percentage or the same, number range as the industry. Or maybe it's what they always believed because of their teacher in college or in high school told them they were going to make. So what is interesting here is that if you change what they believe or what you believe that you deserve, what you believe that you deserve, you will fundamentally change what your unconscious mind is going to do. Because think about it, right? If 1 million times a billion calculation per second, really is true, then what happens when you literally think about it? Your mind is literally using its quantum calculation capability, that million times a billion calculation per second, to calculate how to match exactly what you believe you deserve. So if you believe you deserve only X amount per year, let's say it's income, or a certain type of relationship, or a certain type of health, you'll find that you'll hit that and it'll stop. And you're like, wait, I feel like I could do more. And you will even work harder and harder and harder, but it seems to not create any difference. Yeah. So one of the ways to challenge what you really believe you deserve is to design what you want, right? Going back to principle number 1 or the first chapter of this little mini training, you design what you want, and then you actually go ahead and remove the pain, install the pleasure, and you go after this very goal. And the goal itself, maybe has a reward to it. So let's say I want to hit a certain number financially. Let's say it's $1 million. And I pre-write and pre-design the specific goals, the specific rewards that is attached to the goal. So what you'll find is that the reward naturally, what I do would be, okay, 1 million, here's the reward. And maybe it's a different goal for a different area of my life, here's the reward. And this is a different goal, here's another area. Now, what you'll do then, after you've designed these goals, you can actually go and install them first of all, and then you will go find yourself having an easier time believing that you deserve it. And then as you achieve it, here's the key, guys. You've got to reward yourself. You've got to pay yourself. You've got to reward yourself. You've got to keep up the promise. Yeah? Live up to the promise that you've given yourself. This is the reward. I'm going to give this because I have already achieved this. Now, here's what happens. When you begin to do that, you're beginning to prove more and more so to your unconscious mind that you deserve more than what you have allowed yourself to have. And it's not just a thought. It's not just a mental programming thing. This requires you to actively act out, right? And do the things that you say you would. So another way to think about it is to give yourself what you really want, regardless if it's a reward or not. Now, this entire thing up here that you see is just the M, mindset. Yeah? And you won't find another place where the mindset is broken down into that much detail. And there's more. There's more. Mindset multiplied by goals, yeah, the goals that we talked about, multiplied by action. Yeah, and I don't just mean physical, right? That to the power of time multiplied by training. Yeah, training over time essentially is what it is, because the more trained you are, right, the less time it'll take. And the more training over time you take, frankly, the more powerful your mindset, your goals, and your action will become. Now, you may wonder, what is C and what is D? C is current situation, and D is your dream. If you want to get from now to your dream, whatever that is, following this formula, improving your mindset, and setting lots of great goals, and taking massive action, on top of it, taking trainings, yeah, over time, you'll find that you achieve your dream. Now, as you think about these trainings, there's a lot of details. There's a lot of things that we couldn't have said in 1 hour or so, frankly, because you will find that in order to really understand it, instead of me just sharing with you details, it's better for me to share with you details and give you certain things to practice with. And you need the exercises, you need the interaction, you need to be able to learn how to do these things and actually do them, right? It's not just a lecture that you'll learn to reprogram your mind. So just like computer programming, you don't just become a programmer because you watched a bunch of YouTube videos and heard and watched someone do programming. You need to be actually programming, working out the things that you need to work out in your mind and in the program, and then you become actually able to program something, right? And the result really becomes the sign that says you are a programmer. So let's talk about what our training is and what you can get within our training, what you'll get in our training, and what the different levels of our training are. Now, if you're very curious about pricing, I'm about to share with you as well. Just something to keep in mind is that these trainings, we have literally, between 2016 to now, having invested over $1.7 million into testing, experimenting, utilizing, and also taking more trainings and then developing even more. We have spent $1.7 million. And so all of that being distilled into these trainings that you're about to see really is not only a good deal, but if you're someone who wants more and you want to know how to do it and you don't want to just mess around and learn a few things here and there from a book or two, these trainings may be for you. Now, if you're not ready for, the next level, don't worry about it, right? And here's I'm genuinely going to tell you this. Your goal may not be, the size of your goal may not be big enough to justify spending any money at all, right? If your goal is actually really small, there's no point. So let's take a look. So here are the different levels. There's a $2,000 program, a $20,000 program, and a $30,000 to $100,000 program. let's actually talk about the $2,000 program first. The following proprietary framework is how we do this. So first, we teach you how to communicate with your unconscious mind by giving it suggestions. Yeah, this is different than affirmation. This is a suggestion given at a deep level where you install things. Then E it stands for evolve, where we teach you how to utilize learnings from your own unconscious so that you can actually evolve in a much more frictionless, much smoother way. And then we actually will be talking about how you can load, which is download into your mind some new skills. And lastly, you're going to learn how to utilize the power within. And we'll explain a lot more of what this means. And self-upgrade is really a very simple program where if you want to learn how to do this on your own and you don't need any supervision, you don't really care for any feedback, you can utilize this training and create massive changes on your own. And it's a 12-week program. You have lifetime access to it, right? For as long as Upgrade exists, which we plan on existing forever. You will find that these 12 weeks you can repeat them, and every time you'll learn something new. Then there's the $20,000 program, which is the Master Upgrade. And the time frame is significantly more, right? Previously, this program, we're talking about probably 2 hours a week. We're talking about 100 hours plus. It's actually more like 130 plus hours in the Master Upgrade. And of course, you can take your time. I do recommend completing it within 6 months. And the goal for this training will be to help you experience the most powerful and effective ways to, first off, figure out and decide what you want, because some of you don't even know what you want or don't know enough of what you want. So you've spent your whole life focusing on what you don't want, and you have more of that list than what you want list, right? The what you want list is what actually compels your unconscious mind to go create what you want for you automatically. So if you have more over here, your mind is going to automatically, unfortunately, create what you don't want. So then we're also going to help you learn how to commit to what you want in a way that may not be what you're expecting, in a very good way. Also, we'll talk about how to change and evolve the person who can evolve to the person who can easily achieve your goals. Because it's not about your goals. At the end of the day, it's about you being the person who can easily achieve your goals. The person who believes you deserve it, yeah? And finally, take massive action effortlessly with endless motivation. Imagine motivation being totally effortless, totally natural, yeah? And you can naturally, automatically become motivated. That would be awesome, especially when you're motivated to do what you want to do, what will help you, right, achieve your goals. Now let's talk about why you would take this training versus the self-upgrade. This is really going to promote next level growth. You're going to learn how to reprogram your mind at a far more advanced level, and we're going to teach you conversational programming and reprogramming skills. So you can actually do these techniques in a conversation, and you can do so without creating any resistance, right? So it's really nice when you really want to help someone you care about or just help anyone, and you can do so in a conversation. That's very convenient. So, and think about it. Everything you learn here it's not like you're going to sit down, right? And of course you could, but we're not asking you to sit down and, like a normal therapist would say, hey, lay down and do this and do this. We're asking you to learn how to do this on the fly. We're teaching you how to do that in a conversation. And we're going to take you into a deep dive into human potential and guess what? How to tap into it, right? And not only will you learn how to do that, we'll actually take you into another deep dive on human behaviors and human body language and how to perceive the changes that happens with just the nonverbal communication. And here's why it's important. Because when you help someone unlock their mind or yourself, you'll notice certain changes. You got to be able to read it. So, and it's really exhilarating when you can help someone begin to understand that they are actually more capable than they think they are. Now, you also learn how to be a true master of communication because we'll teach you things that you never even thought was relevant, to communication, but they actually make all the differences. And I'll give you one quick example. Imagine when someone comes to you and they're like, show me your proposal, show me something, yeah? And they're talking to you about a business deal. And then instead your salesperson says, well, you know what? Let me tell you about what we know so far. The person's like, no, I want to see it. And then your salesperson's like, no, we don't have anything to show you. We want to just tell you about it first. Can we do that? The person gets frustrated and leaves. And then he meets a different salesperson. Maybe he meets you because you've been trained. And well, he said, can I see something? I want to see something. Yeah, this thing, whatever it is. And you're like, oh yeah, let me show you. And it's a brilliant way to blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you say whatever you say. And you use all the visual words, and all of a sudden the person's like, you're speaking my language, thank you. It's like I've known you forever. Those things may sound very simple, but there's like 100 of these ways to help someone get into rapport at the deep unconscious level, because people who do business with you are people who have rapport with you, not just people who don't like you, right? Obviously. So, and the more rapport you have, the easier it is for you to get what you want. Next, we're going to show you how to create instantaneous change by using suggestions and micro-behavioral programming. Now, what you'll find is really a new and complete upgraded operating system for your mind. That's really what we're helping you to create in this master upgrade. So think of the previous training as we're helping you clean up, we're helping you install some apps that really make your operating system more optimized. This one is we're doing a reinstallation. We're giving you a whole new set of tools and giving you an entire brand new operating system. Because think about it, right? Could you imagine running the latest virtual reality video games on a Windows 95 machine? The machine may be very sophisticated, a quantum supercomputer, but if you run Windows 95, it's not going to support it, and it's not going to tap into the true potential of the machine, and neither will it play, the latest, coolest games or apps or any software. It won't actually be able to take advantage of the most wonderful of softwares. Same with the human mind. Now, this is recommended for individuals who want to collect over $500,000 or more a year. Yeah, if you are way below that, if you're just at under 50K, I actually don't necessarily recommend this training. I would recommend you start with this. But if you do over 50K, I think you may qualify for this. Yeah, and of course, I'm not gonna say work hard or don't work hard. Work smart and work hard. Yeah, and attach pleasure to working hard, and detach sacrifice from working hard. Yeah. So there's a number of things that we teach, really 130 plus hours of training. And also, by the way, we're going to give you 2 practical trainings. You can actually come to the practical and practice what you've learned and really get the feedback that comes from us. Now, I may not do these practicals forever. So if you were to jump in, I would say jump in immediately. Now, if you were to do it, I know that I'm going to still be doing some practical, and I'm personally going to teach it. So if you jump in, now will be a good time. And no guarantees when we'll be stopped doing the practicals and doing these events. Simply just depends on the demand on some of the other trainings, and things are going really well. So it's trending towards soon enough we may not run those practicals. So if you are interested, definitely jump into this training so that you can access our next practical. So let's look at how. This is another framework. We're going to show you how to create thoughts and emotional mastery. Everything you saw in the formula, we're going to touch on. We're going to teach you body language training and how to decipher what things means and what things don't mean, right? There are all kinds of misconceptions out there about nonverbal communications. And we're going to talk about how to gain trust, rapport, and comfort within yourself and with others. Very important. How to change your beliefs, how to sell to the unconscious, how to actually change and create memories, like what we've been talking about. You will also learn the core of why, what, and how people are motivated, how they make decisions, and how they feel reassured. It's super important. Everyone goes through these 3 different strategies, as we call them. You experience the motivation strategy, the decision-making strategy, and the reassurance or assurance strategy. And what you'll find is if you run all three of those strategies, you will have a client or a customer for life, because you have satisfied what motivates them to come to you and what motivates them to make the buying decision and what motivates them to stay with you, the reassurance, right? So we'll talk about that for those of you, especially in senior management, or you're an owner of a company, or you have a sales operation, and or you're in real estate and fund management space. You'll find that these are extremely useful, because you need to know how to help people make decisions. But before that, how to get motivated, and after that, how to stay reassured. And that reassurance strategy can be taught in such a way, which we will, so that you can create referrals nonstop. Next, we'll also talk about the strategies, as we were just saying, order and sequence of human programs. It's actually a bunch of programs linked together sequentially. That's what strategies are. And we'll also teach you something that are magical linguistic patterns that get you what you want in super speed. And that's a really, really cool one. We actually will teach you hypnotic language. Imagine if someone is having a hard day, tough day, their mind's shut off, they're not listening to you, but you're having an important business meeting. You need to have a decision made by the end of the day. What happens, right? You need to be able to utilize this hypnotic language pattern to take them into an altered state and help them let go of whatever that they were attached to, that negativity, and be able to be more present and totally focus on what you're saying. And when you are able to do that, you'll find that more and more people turn into a self-closer, because they're able to think clearly and they're able to really understand the benefit of what you're selling, right? And all of a sudden they're like, yes, I want to buy it. And it's really nice, because then you eliminate the hurdles and the resistance that came from somewhere other than really anything that has to do with you. It was resistance from them, maybe having a hard day from their kids at school, having, doing whatever. And so that being said, if you know hypnotic language, you can bypass that resistance and be able to help someone really think clearly. And sounds funny, right? Hypnotic language actually helps someone think clearly. Yes, it's a very specific type of hypnotic language. And next, what you'll find is we'll also give you a recording of a live programming training. So that's where the 130 plus hours come from. And we always recommend that you finish those before you get into our practical, because it won't make sense without it. Now, just a few things about the videos. Videos are constantly being renewed and there's new things being added. So pay attention to those. And also, the videos are done before a live audience, on the internet. And so there are sometimes questions and things that people ask that may be very relevant to you. So I would recommend that you listen and pay attention and watch to, all of them. And sometimes I teach non-linearly. You'll find that in these trainings, they're very apparent. Trust me, stick with me, because we're opening certain things up that you may not be conscious of, and then we're resolving them as we go. So it's actually more of a programming audio and video rather than a training. So we're giving you pre-programming or programming for about 130 hours to help you unlock your mind. So, and I was mentioning that we have an in-house coach, Michael, right there, the gentleman standing right behind me, right next to me, right? He is an excellent in-house coach. He will help you when you need something. If you're in the Master Upgrade program, you'll actually get 4 sessions with Michael. So it's one-on-one custom coaching with Michael, and that typically we charge $2,000 for, but it's actually included now for the 20K program. Remember, the content that you get from within this training is the result of us having invested, tested, discovered, and researched, and continue to test $1.7 million that I've invested into building these trainings and making it better, right? And I will tell you, a lot of the testing has actualized the not only the effectiveness of this training, but gave me the confidence to tell you, hey, guess what? 20 grand, you're gonna get your money's worth. And then there's Upgrade X.
Upgrade X is for a very, very select few people, a group of people that fundamentally believe that what they can become, they must.
It's truly a unique experience. The reason it's so valuable is that it combines experts from different fields, and we bring what we do best into the same training.
It's a training that will inevitably take your mind and your body and your spirit to levels you've never even thought possible.
My name is William Lam, and I'm the creator of Upgrade.
My name's John Madsen, former NFL athlete.
And the reason we decided to work together is that we have both come to the realization that if you were to want to master your life, upgrade your life, you've got to upgrade not only your mind, but your body.
For the last 10 years, I've been in the fitness industry, training NFL players, World Series champions, NBA players, top CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and a lot of ordinary people who all had the thing inside of them where they knew that they were not maximizing their potential. So I work with people from all walks of life, but the thing that I would want every single person that's considering this program to understand, or the thing that has had the most profound impact on my life, was this ability to be 100% congruent and aligned with myself. And I think that one thing has led to such a massive ascension in my business, in my fitness, that's what this whole thing is about. It's about being congruent. It's about knowing what you want, why you want it, and then going after it.
Take this analogy. Let's say your brain and your body is a computer and your mind is the operating system that runs it. Imagine trying to run the latest virtual reality titles, games, video games, in a Windows 95 operating system. It would crash, it wouldn't work, it would have problems, conflicts, all kinds of issues. If you in this day and age want to get to the highest level of what you can do, if you really want to tap into your true potential, because you deserve to, right? You must upgrade your operating system, and we have created a complete system that allows you to do that.
Watching participants go through Upgrade X, I know what's happened in my experience, and so watching these people go through it, I can't begin to explain the lightness that I see on their faces, almost like the weight of the world is like on their shoulders. And when they tap into this knowing exactly what they need to do, and for the first time in their lives, they're congruent and they're aligned, I get super excited watching it in others now, which is the whole reason we do this.
Tell me what happened.
All right, so after I signed the contract with you guys, the next day, $500,000 contract on my table that I thought I had lost. And then I got a $1.2 million contract and an $800,000 contract on the table. And then a day after I signed the contract with you guys, on my Coinbase account, I thought, all right, I've been mining Ethereum with a kid, hadn't seen the money, $30,000 in my account the next day after I signed the contract with you guys. And then since then, 2 other contracts for $1 million have come in from the same company that signed me that day.
It's been installed. It's like your old life's over. It's like from this point forward, it's like a knowing what I need to do, you know?
I guess clarity is the right word, but just like this is who you are.
But this is like the start for me to really change people's lives across the world. I'm truly believing that we can all have what we want, especially with what we've been learning.
I just had this moment of just like pure clarity. Kind of hard to totally articulate, but it just kind of like just hit me. Just like, this is what life's about, you know.
Right now, you might be deciding whether or not this program is for you, whether or not you want to learn more or see what this is all about. I'll tell you one thing. If you are a person that is alive with progress and you want to grow, there is nothing more powerful than what we've put together. I want you to click the link below this video and go through our quick application process. We'll see if this is a fit for you and a fit for us. And if it is, somebody on our team is going to reach out to you almost immediately and tell you everything you need to know about this program, get all your questions answered so that you can make the best decision for you.
If you've ever felt that you may deserve more than what you have gotten in your life, join us today and upgrade your mind, upgrade your body, and upgrade your life.
The greatest investment that I have personally made was investing in my mind, because I know that when I invest in my mind, I never lose it. I keep it forever. The knowledge, the skills, the ability to do what I want. Now, that skill can be transferred. That skill set, that these programming tools can be transferred. And that's what we're offering you. When you go all in with speed, you'll find that your world, your mirror, will go all in for you. Now, UpgradeX is really, really crazy cool. Well, the thing is, you get what you pay for. You're getting a live event, and the live event is essentially in a group setting. I'm taking you through what I do with my private clients. And for example, the gentleman that is actually my joint venture partner, he was previously a student, and I'll show you a video of his testimonial before we even ever decided to partner up. This was when he hit his goal. Yeah.
What is going on, guys? My name is John Madsen, and I wanted to make this video on behalf of William Lamb and his wife Charis, and the reason is not because they asked me to. In fact, they didn't ask me to. I just wanted to do it because I've worked with them for the past year, and the reason I wanted to work with them in the first place, initially I was interested in NLP. I thought that if I could learn some of that stuff, it would set me apart in the fitness industry. And I really, at the root of it, felt like I could tap into this limitless feeling and do really, really good some of the time, but not all of the time. And I felt like I was driving down the road with one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake. And sometimes this John would come out that was fully capable of tapping into ultimate success. And other times I would self-sabotage. And obviously I've been successful in other areas in my life, but I struggle with money, and I struggled with this money mindset, and I wasn't living up to my fullest potential. I played for the Oakland Raiders. You can see the jerseys in the background. So I knew I had this capability, but I just didn't know how to tap into it. And to be honest, when I signed up with them, I put my full faith that they could help me, and I didn't know if that was going to be the case or not. But fast forward almost a year, I've had magical stuff happen, and I've hit goals that were so elusive for so long. I've broken paradigms. I've literally it's changed my life, to be 100% real. And when somebody asks, or they've seen the ascension of what I've been able to do, I'm at the very top echelon in my industry, in the fitness industry, mindset industry myself, where I am doing things that other people are not doing. And it all started and ended right here. William, whatever he did, he went into my brain and he rewired it and reprogrammed it. And as soon as I dove in, it was literally like watching the Matrix, or being in the Matrix, where I took that red pill and I can never go back. And I know you guys don't know me, and if you're watching this video, maybe you're deciding whether or not to invest. It's probably a heavier investment than you're used to. And all I can tell you is from my experience, from my personal experience, and I've had multiple friends go through this program after they've seen my success. If you don't do it, I worry about what's going to happen, because chances are you're going to end up a year from now in the exact same spot that you were today. And that's the cycle that I was going through. I was good, but not great. And over the past year, we're moving into an entirely different state, with just a magical thing, almost mystical, that happened for us to get out of our beautiful home in Utah, and we're moving to North Scottsdale. I've hit financial goals that will blow people's mind in the fitness industry. And this rapid ascension all goes back to the one decision that I made because I knew that something was holding me back. I knew that I was not tapping into the greatness that I knew that I knew was possible, but I just couldn't grasp it. And what happened was there was a whole bunch of stuff that was limiting beliefs, limiting decisions. I was living in a paradigm that wasn't serving me, and all of that stuff was broken into a million pieces, and I felt like I've been strapped to a rocket ship ever since. And so if you are considering coaching from William, I would just tell you to strongly consider it. And if you do it, there is zero doubt in my entire mind that it'll change your life. So that's what I wanted to share. Again, they did not ask me to make this video. This is because I hit one of the biggest goals I've had to date. Last night, we're moving today, getting out of Utah and going to Scottsdale. And before I moved, I wanted to put this video out there, and just in case, because I know I want your life to change. I don't know you, but I want your life to change. So if you are watching this video, strongly consider what's going to happen to you if you don't go through with what you know you probably should do.
Now, Upgrade X is roughly 12 months of a program. You're going to get the pre-training, and on top of it, you get a live event where we actually do the custom programming, right? So that's why it's faster. And then we'll give you a 12-month long mastermind where we come on and answer your questions every month and give you a new training every month. And it's only an hour. It's nothing crazy, but the mastermind really drives home the programming skills. So, and you are able to be in an environment where other people are making millions of dollars and or having massive success in their industry. And you'll find that there are professional athletes, there are business executives, there are owners of multi-million-dollar companies. They are in this group where we train them on their mindset. And Upgrade X is a combination of me and John's skill set and a number of other people that we have brought into our inner circle. Now, many of you here are fast action takers, self-closers, yeah, like me, right? And you'll find that because of that behavior, that pattern of you being able to commit quickly or scheduling, to chat with us and commit quickly, you'll find the same thing showing up in your business. Mark my word, yeah? If you were to take the next step, if you were to jump in and join us in our program, yes, we have payment plans available to make it real easy for you to jump in. You're going to find yourself achieving next level like you've never experienced before. And when you do that, you'll be grateful that you've jumped in quickly, because in just a matter of a few months, even a few weeks, you'll find massive changes. And in a moment, if you're not yet convinced, scroll down below, you'll see a number of testimonials. You can read through them, yeah? And you can read through them and you can learn about all the things that we're going to include as bonus for this training. I'm not going to talk about them too much. You can just scroll down and read them, and then you can schedule a time to speak with us and or just go ahead and purchase. Now, remember, your world is your projection. It's a mirror. The faster you take action, yeah, and the more you go all in. We want you to go all in, because if you're ready to go all in, do it. You will find that your world will go all in for you. Thank you. Oh, if you have friends that you feel like would certainly benefit from this, please share with them. Thank you.